You're listening to the Warrior Rulebook Podcast with me, Monique Harmon. I love helping people express themselves, protect their peace, and be confident in being them. You may also know me as Pretty Nikki, who started her online journey as a modest fashion blogger. Now I'm an entrepreneur. You'll see through my experiences and the experiences of others that change is possible, improvement is tasty, and meaningful connection is transformational. Come on, share your story with me. The stories and information presented in my podcast is not intended to take the place of medical advice from a healthcare professional. So any exercise, diet, health-related, mental health matters vary from person to person. So nothing in the podcast will be construed or used as a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Any action taken based on the contents of this podcast or the resources is solely at your own discretion, risk, and liability. So this podcast is simply here to be encouraging, but you should definitely seek a healthcare professional for additional help. Now let's get on to the show. Welcome to another episode of the Warrior Rulebook Podcast. I truly hope that you are doing well. And so I wanted to talk about this topic today in terms of friendships, because friendships are such a huge dynamic in the sense that they require a lot of maintenance, they require a lot of care, and in the sense where you can build something up so strongly, it's so easy for it to be torn down. And so I just want to talk about how the aspect of a friendship has changed since growing older. So I can say in my experience when I was younger that I tended to ask people, be like, do you want to be friends? Or I would just bond naturally over very trivial things, I would say. Just in terms of like, oh, your favorite color is also pink. Okay, let's be friends. Or, you just need a friend to be able to talk to be able to hang out with on the playground, things like that. And so even when I was younger, I could see like the timing of everything when it comes to being friends with someone. Even though I didn't have the strongest friendships when I was a kid, I can see now that they have changed. Even some people that I knew when I was younger, it just wasn't the right time for us to get to know each other or to be around each other. But then as we grew into adulthood, then it was more easier to hang out. It was more easy to really understand how different people mature and how I mature as well. So that's been something that's been very interesting to see and take part in. And I will also say it's also harder because at this stage in our lives, everybody that I know is actually trying to do something with their lives. Like they are trying to grow more and develop and pursue their dreams. And I think it's a beautiful thing, but sometimes it can also be a sad thing because we don't really have time to hang out with each other. And it's something that I've noticed as well, like as being in the entrepreneurial world, like seeing even people that are more successful than me, just you don't really see them around each other. Or maybe somebody might be like, well, I can't be there at your event, but I'm going to be supporting you from the sidelines. Or maybe someone may even leave a partnership, not because they hate their friend, but because their life has taken them into a different direction where they feel like they are serving more of a purpose somewhere else. So just being able to see that dynamic and understand that, like, at the end of the day, they're still going to love each other. They're still going to care about each other, check up on them, but life has just taken them in a different direction. So I think that's interesting about having friendships in that way, where you might have to take separate paths for now, but there is a open invitation to come back, or depending on who your friend is, if they actually make time to see you or they make time to check up on you. It's just interesting. As I have talked to my friends before, there are different levels of friendship where there might be somebody that you don't check in for a long time, but as soon as you guys meet up, you guys are able to pick up right where you left off. Nothing has changed. It's just that you simply might have a family to take care of, or you might have to do certain things with work, or you might have to travel, or you might be pursuing your own passion and it's taking all of your undivided attention because you want to succeed in this thing. Because you realize if you don't pay attention, if you don't stay focused, you will fall off and you will be further back from where you actually want to be. So just seeing like that dynamic and just being able to experience that as well, like you can't always be there for that person, but you could definitely pray for them and you can definitely check in on them. And another thing I would say too that has been different is like realizing that you're not as in alignment as you wish to be with some people. And that's just a part of life. And there are different things that you can do. Like for some people, they may seem that it makes more sense just to part ways. Like it's the end of their chapter and they are looking for other friendships. Maybe they have experienced abuse in a friendship or they have experienced just not a supportive environment where they're just like, okay, well, there's nothing for me here now. So maybe they just naturally go apart. And that's something that I've noticed as well is that it's a little bit more easier now to naturally just kind of fall away from each other or just kind of like lose touch. I think that's the words that I'm looking for. So that's an interesting dynamic because there are also times as well where you might go from talking to somebody every single day and then you guys might have a falling out or you just don't match anymore in terms of a friendship and so you guys kind of part ways or lose touch as well. So it's kind of like different things can happen at different times. Like you're not really able to perceive everything that's coming up. Sometimes you can tell when you do have a friend, if you know them very well, you can tell that something is off. You can tell something is wrong. You can tell if they are about to do something that's really big for them, even though they just told you about it calmly, but you could tell that they're really excited about it, just different things and just being able to like talk to them and just understand them on a different level. So I think that's an interesting thing. But back to ending friendships, I think sometimes if you are experiencing things in the friendship where you're just like, this isn't supposed to happen. I'm not supposed to feel this way as somebody that is supposed to be a friend of someone. If you see that they're always busy, they're never making time for you, or they are just saying really mean things, or you can obviously tell that they're jealous of you. There are different ways that you can try to prevent it. Some people like to just hash it out and talk about it right then and there. Sometimes you just have to find the right timing again to talk to them about it because sometimes it's just not the right time. And so it's like all these different dynamics that can happen, they can definitely affect a friendship. And I think it does take a lot of bravery of and whether that's a confrontation or it takes a lot of bravery just to even let them know that you are experiencing personal things in your life that might be really hard to get through and just being open with them and asking for help. Like there are literally so many things like I can't even cover that all in this podcast episode, but it's definitely interesting. It's something that has to be maintained and honored and respected. There are times where you may not even notice that you crossed a boundary, and then it's like you have to talk about it now because otherwise the other person, they're not going to be able to function the same way or they're not even going to be able to see you in the same way. So it's just definitely interesting and it's very important to if something is bothering you to talk about it. And that was something that I struggled with for a long time. Like I would just let so many things go because it's like we're friends. Like we're never gonna, really do so. That's not the expectation is for something to go horribly wrong or it's just not the expectation. Like the expectation is we're gonna figure it out and we're gonna keep going. And I think sometimes by me not saying anything, that makes the problem swell up even more. So I've definitely been trying to be more vocal as well. Like if something bothers me and just being able to approach it from a calm aspect and try to work through the problem, not attacking the other person, but just letting them know, like, hey, like, this bothered me. I know you're not like this. Like, definitely trying to reassure them, like, I know that you didn't mean to hurt me, but like, this definitely did hurt me. Can we talk about this? It's very valuable to do those, because those are like safeguards that you kind of have in place for you to be able to repair your friendship and be able to mend it, so that way you guys are able to flow better. And sometimes different things happen to the point where it's just like you can't even, it seems like it's beyond repair. And so, like, though, when that happens, that's a really tough thing, especially when you're like, well, there's nothing left, like, I can't do this anymore, so you're just like, well, we can't be friends now. And it's definitely an awkward type of experience when something like that happens, because it's like you go from being so used to doing something with a friend, or knowing that you can rely on them for something, and then it's just like that, it's just over. And so, like, that can take a lot of recovery as well, and then maybe getting counseling, or maybe getting therapy, depending on what happened. But everybody knows what their limits are, everybody knows what their boundaries are, and what really takes for them to really consider somebody as a friend. So this is definitely something that I was not prepared for when I was younger, but just seeing the dynamic how it is now, like, so many things can blow up a friendship, but there are so many things that can make it treasurable, that can make it stronger. And I think it's just a matter of exploring different ways that you can make your friendship stronger, whether it's showing up for your friend more, or making them think more, doing different things or saying different things, having those deep level conversations so you can understand how they think and how they function, and how you can reach them essentially. Because sometimes you might say something to one friend and they immediately get it, but then sometimes you might say something to another friend and they're just like, what are you talking about? Like, we got to explore this more. So it definitely is an interesting dynamic. It definitely goes deeper than seeing one friend for one thing, and or seeing another friend for being an expert in another thing. I think it's just definitely a lot of communication that is required to essentially make sure that everything goes well and that you continue to grow. And even with starting different friendships, sometimes you may see somebody for a while and your paths just don't seem like it crosses right now, but then in a few years time, it's like they recycle, like they recircle back around, and then you're just like, wow, why didn't I talk to you sooner? Why weren't we friends sooner? We could have been shopping, we could have been traveling, we could have been doing all of this. So, it's definitely interesting just to be able to see that and experience it. It's definitely something interesting. But I hope that this podcast episode helped you out today, and that you remember to check on your friends. If you haven't checked on them in a while, just say, I love you, or just see how you can help, or just see what's up with them. Sometimes it just takes a quick reminder. It's not about, oh, let's spend 30 minutes together, or let's go here, let's go here, let's go here. It's different seasons of friendships, and people are in different seasons of their lifetime, where it's not as easy to just drop everything you're doing and go for a road trip somewhere. So things have to be planned out in advance, things have to be covered in advance, so that way you're able to enjoy yourself and your friend is able to enjoy themselves. So taking baby steps can essentially help as well. If you feel like you have lost touch with a friend, just trying to simply check on them and just see if there's a way that you can help them, or maybe you could just tell them about something that is going on in your life, and maybe you just want an additional perspective. Or it could just be something as simple like, let's go watch a show together, even if it's virtual. We definitely have virtual capabilities now where you can watch shows with your friends, and you can just do different things. So let this be encouragement to you that some friendships are meant to end, and some are meant to be rebranded, and some are just meant to be started with other people. So I hope you enjoy and you talk to your friend today. Also, I want to let you know as well that if you're watching this when the episode drops, that the 30-day marketing your or mastering your unique marketing challenge is still going on. So if you want to head over to my Instagram and see how you can stand out in your social media and to look different from your competitors and attract the people that you can definitely help, then I would love for you to come over to Instagram and hang out with me. You can ask questions, you can get free coaching, all of that good stuff, and see what other updates are coming up from me. And I hope you know that I feel like you are my friend out there as well. And I hope that I can be a great friend and continue to be a great friend for you. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Warrior Rulebook podcast. If you like what you heard, share it with a friend and join me over at the Warrior Rulebook Podcast Insider group on Facebook. And don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for more tips on how to be resilient in this world.